5 rapid game. And in our last game, decided to play one of my favorite openings of all time, the Grunfeld defense against 4. It's an opening you can play with black, and we had some success. It was a very fun game, and I'm hoping that we can get another interesting game today, whether we get the white pieces or black pieces. So, without further ado, I think we should probably just get right into it. And I have been focusing a little bit more on shorts content, trying to explore different ideas, um, generally with the channel. Been working a lot as well, so uploads have been a little bit less frequent, but I'm still trying to make sure that we don't go 2 days in a row without an upload. And it looks like today we have the white pieces. Toliara. Luck to Toliara. I'm going to play e4. Now, I like to say that if you want to play e4, it's because you want to have a tactical game, a lot of attacking the center, and you don't want to play very passively. When you play d4, you want to play very positional, slow kind of chess. You want to outplay your opponent slowly. But we want to play aggressive. We're going to play knight to f3 here and go into knight e4. Our opponent has decided to go for the Petrov's defense. And the Petrov's defense is symmetrical up to this point. We are going to capture the pawn on e5, and our opponent does 6 traditional Petrov move. And our opponent takes, and they're going down one of the main lines of the Petrov. Now, there's a few different moves we can play here, depending on what line of the Petrov we play. D5 is a move, or not D5, D4 is a move. The other move that I like to play is knight to c3. This is called the nymph switch Petrov. And I like it because we get the open d file if our opponent takes. We also get rapid development. This pawn is moved out of the way, so we don't have to waste a move on developing this pawn, so we can play this bishop out. And the idea is going to be castle long very quickly and start influencing the center of the board. Alright, and our opponent does take, and we are going to take back with our d-pawn, opening up the line for the queen. Alright, and our opponent has decided to develop his bishop to d4. He wants to create some pressure. And notice that playing a move like bishop g5 would be very bad because he can take, then he takes, and got a piece in that scenario, so we wouldn't want to do that. What would I think first developing our bishop. Good move. First of all, it's discouraging any checks along the file here. Then we're going to develop our other bishop. We're going to develop our queen. We're going to castle long. Very clean. And the idea here is going to be, in the long term, create an attack on the king side for our opponent. Most likely our opponent will castle side. It is way faster for him though. And it's usually just an idea to castle king side, and he's black. Side can be risky, but if we go queen side, it might be. And one thing I like about this bishop here is we can start creating a pawn storm with tempo by playing h3. Comes his bishop 5. We go or back even further. Start with h3. Right. And it looks like our opponent may want to castle side as well. He's developed his knight instead of going. I'm going to play my bishop out, maintaining flexibility. Or for our bishop. Want to go for 4. We may not. Notice that I could play g4, send his bishop, but I don't really see that, and we don't have enough control over the center to do that. Why I say that is, first of all, we don't also have control over this square. This square is important because controlling it, but if we're able to jump our knight there, we could play g4, drops back square, and then we can play our knight here. attacking the squares, but bishop does have this square in the center, which we after we notice the diagonal. A lot of reasons not to go for this. Main one being king and knight, but we're able to get the knight there. It was great. Alright, our opponent has returned development that we thought he was going to go with, and I think I'm nice move, creating a battery here. And preparing to castle long. Our opponent has reinforced their control over this square. Castles, and we're going to castle as well. Get rook into the game, encouraging any move. 5. And yeah, here we're really free to do whatever we want. I think the core move is now becoming better. We want to pawns rolling. We want files to attack the king. Sacrificing pawns in this can be very nice. Okay. And his knight has deployed itself to f6, where it's going to be a pretty decent defensive piece. And now that I'm really looking at this position, I'm seeing this 4 square as a square that is really important to control. I really don't want to allow him to have a lot of control over that square. Let's see, I'm going to calculate here. If I go here, restricted from entering on e4, takes here, he takes, loses knight. Okay, we're fine. I'm going to go with this. This knight can be knocked away, yes. I want to restrict him from playing knight to e4 immediately. Plays h6, I can play this move here first before I do anything else, sending his knight to the side of the board, and then I can drop my knight back. Or he could take, double his pawns, open a file, but I highly doubt he'd do that. I'm pretty sure he would want to go for the equal bishop trade there instead of taking the knight. And these are considerations we have to see. Understanding that this is the move I want to play, what is his response? Well, his response is likely to be h6. But he doesn't go for h6. He wants to trade with the bishop on his terms. And maybe he'll go for the discovered attack. I've noticed this part of the line as well. Takes, and I move my queen over, and the knight loses a defender. I have to ask myself, can he move the knight and attack on my queen or a rook or something like that? And now I've noticed that now that my queen is not on 2, this move doesn't even come with tempo. No move that he can do. He'll attack on our knight that we can't respond in time. And our opponent has blundered here, so he created an attack on our bishop, but he's failed to realize that he can actually play our rook forward here, and we're going to be getting defending our knight. Now, the line doesn't end. Go ahead here. After the rook goes forward, he's going to play probably 6 and be able to vacate. He's going to be able to win the piece back eventually, but he's going to weaken his position a lot. And only if he finds the right moves will he even be able to win the piece. Right? I'm thinking maybe just purging a move like this would be funny. You can even sacrifice the knight for a pawn in a lot of these positions. Let's see if he finds it. That's not a good move. This would blunder the knight, the rook in one move. Can't go for that. Looks like this is the only square for our rook currently. He's probably going to play. Right? Okay. See what we can do here. One thing I'm noticing is we can win some material here. Be up a pawn for sure. I'm wondering if it's advantageous for us to trade rooks or not. Take here. If he takes, we take and take. If he takes here, we take first. And he takes with the knight trade and slide our queen our king over. We're gonna be up a pawn. Even the rest of the material will be even. Pawn will be weak temporarily until he can play this move. And yeah, it will be a very equal position. We will have this kingside majority, which will maybe allow us to make a pass pawn. That's our goal: is play 4 f4 and f5, create a pass pawn on the side of the board. All right. And I like this position a little bit better. And why is that? Well, we get to keep this dark square bishop that is now going to be a monster controlling squares. I think there's a lot of nice development we can get here. I'm also seeing his king is kind of exposed. Perfect. I want to control a lot of these files. Now notice if I play this bishop here immediately, I'm going to play c5. But if I play the rook first and then I play the bishop, that's also this out for our opponent. If I were him, I would just trade immediately. Granted, it doesn't force trade. We can just play f4. But yeah. little bit less developed than us, I would say. In this, we're up a pawn, and we've got this strong battery in the center. We're gonna restrict the placement of his king. His king's gonna have to be a temporary defender of this. Queen is not gonna be enough once we feel our discovery attack. All right, and our opponent has honestly given us opportunity for a king position. But before we do anything, I'm noticing we have to do this. If we play bishop 8, starting off as his threatening his has to respond to the attack on our. Texas on threat he can make. Put this move first. What's this line? Rook over. I step my king over. Yeah. Okay. And notice there's a lot of tactics involving this bishop move when the rook goes here. So I want to make sure that those bishop moves don't exist. So this move one that we're going to play is going to be an incredible move that doesn't look very strong, but it's going to create a lot of safety in our position. Well, there's no checks along this diagonal, and also we're going to be spending the necessary move we have to play. And in a lot of versions of the position, no matter what our opponent's going to play, there's going to be a lot of tactics available to not play that. Got us play that move eventually. I've noticed we don't have to play it immediately, but it is going to have to be played here as soon as our opponent defends against the immediate. And I'm sure they will find it. It's not rocket science to see. The bishop is out there hanging. So far, what I can say about this position is that our opponent's queen is kind of out of position. Rook is not developed at all. We're up a pawn, and our dark has a lot of control. Our opponent's our queen, rook are placed very nicely. I feel like our opponent has to very accurately not be lost because of parity. Our plan is going to be pass pawn on the king side. Our queen side, not under any image, not worried about any attack from opponents. Making threats that our opponent has to deal with. Checkmating our opponent on. And so, what will our opponent do? That is the question. Looks like they're running their clock a little bit, trying to find the most accurate response. There's a few different ones. All of them involve basically the same thing. Basically, just trading off the bishop. Another option, but defending the bishop was the other. He trades off the bishop here. Trade back. He's going to take with his queen. We're going to step our king over. And notice, yes, he could gobble here, take this free pawn, but we would be invading his position, and that would be absolutely devastating for him. So I think taking here for him is just almost unthinkable. Moving his queen from the defense of that square is not possible. Notice that we've controlled this file so well, his rook is not able to access it. So you really see the power of the open files. When our opponent, we have one open file to use, and our opponent has an open file. we have the control of the main open file in the position. See how much power we have. His rook just can't play the game. Rook maybe can deploy to f8 and the king step back to g8, and then rook would be kind of strong. But there's too many weaknesses in diagonals like this now. Our opponent is going to have a difficult time here. Notice even if our opponent just makes a mundane move, we are threatening 6. Can force this back to a less desirable square, and we can even fade after that. 7 taking on, threatening the rook. Things are going to get dangerous after that. My opponent's feeling the pressure on the clock. And these Petrov positions tend to be very dull and boring. But a lot of times at the end game, you get a very interesting game that explodes into tactics and a lot of pressuring, a lot of material imbalance. And here our opponent has offered a queen trade, but really in vain. I feel like this is kind of a queen trade that, I don't know. I don't feel like it'd be great. And we can win a pawn like this, but I want to make our opponent play more moves because they're low on time. Try to make them find the best response. They make a response here quickly that's not the right one, they might lose even faster. So I'm seeing this queen f3 move. I think it's nice. If he plays queen to f5, I'd rather take and double that pawn. Temporarily might be better move tactically. Here he should block with his. So fading between f6 and 5. I'm gonna swipe my queen back to allowing his rook from invading again, and he might just offer the queen trade again. Queen trade is completely winning for us. We're already up a pawn, and if we were to that queen trade, right now our opponent's trying to trade off all the pieces. I would say maybe. I'm gonna give check on. Drops back his. But our queen 4, allowing the rook while. Right now he's covering back with his up our queen. Go to f3 here. Check. Allow the rook from. Play f3 ourselves. Threaten to also force a now. We're gonna have this rook on the 7th rank possibly. Check like this. for our king. Here hastily, checkmate. Here.